Hi guys, welcome to this new video. Since some of you asked me on the forum perspective for the Help a Composer week, here I'm doing a short, tutorial on how to mix orchestral cues. So first of all, a couple of things I want to say. Before start actually mixing, you should do, first of all, organize your project, dividing the tracks, giving colors and names, and sending them to a bus. Here Logic has this cool feature, which is create track stack. This is a folder and a submit track, so it's both of them, and it's really useful when doing this kind of stuff. Second thing to do is doing a bounce in place or exporting the tracks, because you're going to use a lot of DSP for the processing, and it's better to keep separate the sound generation process and the processing process. Okay, so a couple of words on these tracks. This is a cue I wrote for a video I was doing last week. I was in Tokyo and I was going around town filming a lot of stuff, and then I wrote this track while I was in my hostel. Then I edited the video. It's on YouTube. You can watch it if you want. It's pretty cool, I think. It's like, I've done like how can I say, a music diary of my Tokyo trip. So far I've done 4 videos for 5 days. I have to edit another couple of videos and then I'm done. And okay, so let's listen to this tune and then we'll analyze the mixing process. Okay, that's it. So I use this kind of template in Logic Pro X with all my tracks divided for session. So strings, I have violins, second violins, violas, bass, cello. This is a dynamic bowing patch, staccato patch. Then my woodwinds, with my flutes, clarinets and bassoons, and then trumpets, horns and trombones. Okay, and the percussion. I use this free screen set preset, so if I hit 1 on my keyboard I have my arrange track, if I hit 2 on my keyboard I have my mixer, And if I hit 3, I have my piano roll. It's pretty useful when you write music because especially if you don't have many screens, you can move around very quickly, and it takes a while to get used to it, but it's really helpful. Basically, when you're mixing, the most difficult part is to understand when not to do. It's quite tricky, but once you understand and you try to figure out why you need to process, and especially why you don't need to process, that's the key for a good mix. Because sometimes you start slamming plugins on your track and tweaking knobs, but maybe the sound it's already right. Especially using libraries, the sounds are already processed and they're fine the way they are. So you can probably have a mix where you just have to balance the different tracks. Try always to remember that processing is not always necessary. So as you can see on my mix track, I'm not processing that much. For example, if you see, I have my tracks, all these tracks, for example, the violins or the string sessions goes into a bus, a string bus, then it goes to a reverb through an auxiliary track. So if we watch what I've done on this, for example, violin tracks, I just put tape emulation, and I've done this for all the tracks. On all the tracks, the first instance of plugin is a tape emulation, and then this virtual channel, this is a console emulation just to have some analog vibe, and slight EQ. As you can see, I'm talking about less than 3 dB, 1 dB of EQ, just to have that extra. Here is on the medium, high, and high, just to have some more air and brilliance. For example, bass, especially staccato bass, are more heavily processed. Now I let you see what I've done. Okay, we have a more aggressive EQ here for I tried to pull out some string noise. I'll let you listen to this. Bypass. Okay, where is staccato violin? Well, here, staccato bass and cellos. If I bypass the EQ, see, it's all muddy, but this is more open and it's more forward in the mix, so it's clearer. And because this sound is basically the rhythmic foundation, it's the rhythmic foundation together with the percussions. It's really important to perceive the string noise. What else? Max bass. This is a useful tool using on percussion and bass tracks because it gives some extra depth under. Let you listen the difference. It adds something really below. You can actually listen if you have a high quality headphones or speakers, and then a compressor to bring out more the dun 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 dun. And that's all the process. This is the most processed track I have on my tubas, on my mix. Basically, on the other tracks. Basically, all the other tracks are just tape emulation, console emulation. Okay, the violas has some extra high medium EQ. So now it's more characteristic, the sound. What's important is the level between all the parts. So it's good to have everything well balanced in the mix. What else? Because this is all the processing I'm doing, more or less. Just a little EQ to tweak those frequencies characteristic of the instrument, or if I need some extra air on the high frequencies, max bass. It's really useful on percussion especially. Okay, now I'll let you listen maybe to my percussion tracks. See, I have this max bass that really has sub frequencies. It's really cool. Yeah, some extra air here to bring it forward. It's basically making things bigger than life, so you have to bring forward on the mix, and you have to tweak on the high frequencies a little bit. The reverb. This is the reverb I'm using. Is a cathedral, maybe. Do you remember? Yeah, a hole with really long hole, almost 4 seconds. Really low not so low in volume, and everything except of percussion is going in my reverb. This is the way I like to work. If the sound is right or quite right, I don't process. If a sound is fine, it's fine, and you don't need to process just because you have a plugin. Yeah, I use a lot, because I'm mixing on a computer. I use a lot my virtual mix bus and the tape emulations. Yeah, I have both universal audio plugins, and this month I'm trying the everything bundle from Slate. It's really cool. It's a cool feature. You can have it for $14 a month for 1 year. You pay $14 and you have all these plugins I'm using. It's pretty cool because they're really, really good plugins. But basically that's it. I'm only using tape emulation, console emulation, a bit of EQ where needed, some sub-bass enhancer, and just a little compression on the bass, especially on very dynamic sessions for like the strings, and some other compression on hoods and brass, but more light. All my sessions goes to a reverb, and then I use a tape an EQ on the reverb, right, to add some more air to it, and that's all. Mixing is a tough thing, so if you're aiming for a professional mix, what I can suggest you is to ask a professional mixer. You can try to mix your mockups and your cues. It's perfectly fine. It's important if you want to learn how to do it, because you have to study. I suggest you to watch a lot of tutorials. Maybe I'll do a more in-depth tutorial on mixing, but practice makes perfect, as everything. So in the past years I practiced a lot, mixing a lot of stuff: rock, pop, jazz, electronic music, orchestral music, and then I realized a lot of things. The most important part in a mix is the balance between all the instrument. Before the mix, it's most important the arrangement and the production. If the arrangement goes well, the mix will go well as well. Oh, sorry for the well. If you're, especially with orchestral music, back in the classical era, you didn't have mixers and a sound guy mixing things. You just had an orchestra, and within the orchestra, the composer writing the parts and assigning that specific part, the doubles part, to a specific session. He was doing the mix. it's important, this thing, because you have to try to transpose what classical composers were doing in the past nowadays. So try to choose wisely your libraries and the musical phrases you're giving to violins or to trumpets or to flutes. Once the arrangement and the orchestration is well done, the mix will probably need no effort. Just, putting some analog emulation stuff, maybe some EQ to correct or to bring forward some instrument, but that's all. Thanks for watching the video. This is not properly mixing tutorial, it's more tip and tricks, how to say, and some general suggestion on how to approach an orchestral mix. And if you're interested in discovering more of this world, just hit me up with an email. I'm doing private lessons on Skype, and I'll be happy to help you. So thanks for watching, and keep up the good music.